All right, welcome to Culture Couch Live, and we've got Carly, Woz, and Merv, or Murph. You've got no moustache today. Well, how was the response with the moustache as well? Did you get some good feedback?
Yeah, I got some feedback, mate, and not all of it as positive as I would have liked, to be frank. But anyway, what I'll do is I'll soldier on.
We made some good content for the sessions for the next few days, though, I must say.
No, we did too. No, it was very, very good. So welcome. What we thought, we might change a little bit of gears given the opening tonight, I think it is, in Australia. So why don't we talk a little bit about routine and which is going to change quite dramatically and obviously for the better. So maybe, Carly, you've had the homeschooling going on for a fair period of time, and obviously we're all bouncing balls around, but maybe I'll start with you and just some tips. So what's it going to look like for you, and potentially tips and scheduling and all those sorts of things. How will that change for you in the next couple of days?
It's really interesting because, the normal workday is 8, 10, 12 hours, whatever it is. And then when you're trying to cram it all in and you're working and home and all at the same time, then the kids went back to school on Monday and we literally had a normal 8-hour day, and it felt like the most luxurious thing you could ever imagine. And so Ben went out at lunchtime, did a run and made sure he, ate properly. And we probably wouldn't have prioritized those things before. But now when that time feels like you can actually decide what you should be doing and how you should be prioritizing, it's just, as Priya Parker says, Murph, it's a really good time to start reimagining and resetting what your workday does look like and what it should look like rather than what everyone else is doing around you. So, yeah, it's good to think about the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's actually a good point because I guess prior to the pandemic, it's sort of a subconscious thing is what time you set your alarm, you just get up in the morning, you jump on the train, whatever you're going to do, Murph. So it's probably a reasonable thing to sit down for maybe an hour and write down a list of things that perhaps you haven't done, things that you've missed, things that you really like to do, and actually almost prepare yourself for what it's going to look like.
Yeah, I think the key thing is to not everything's been bad, and I think so. If we can take what was best from the last 6 months, 18 months, and keep that, and then implement that into our working life over the next sort of 3 or 4 months, I think that'll make us even better, because I think we have learnt some things in that time, whether it's online calls and meetings, or whether it's structuring your day differently, or I know, Carly, you were working in the afternoon, Ben was working in the morning, and then you were having to do a bit at night. So I think it's what it's proven to us is you don't have to just block your day from 8 to 6 and that's it. There is a more flexible way of doing it. So that's the first thing for me, is take the best and leave behind the worst of our previous lives. The second thing I think is I think we need to be really careful and patient with each other, because I think coming out of the last few months, particularly in Melbourne, and Sydney's probably been a bit the same, but people have been tired, they've been exhausted. It's almost like you're sleeping in the office when you're working from home all the time. And I know I'm the same. And it's not going to go back to normal probably until next year, I suspect, Ruzi. But I think we need to re-establish ourselves gently. So probably my view is slowly start to get back, but be gentle with each other. I think it's going to take a little while for people. It's going to be really unusual, even, catching public transport, going into an office, having to deal with people on a day-to-day basis. Like, that's what we're all really keen to do. But at the same time, it's going to be people that really annoy you,
and it's going to be exhausting. It'll be exhausting.
Yeah. So that sort of be gentle with yourself and each other, I think, is going to be really important over the next few weeks.
Yeah, it's a good point. That was. I mean, we're sort of going to get our weekends back a little bit too, aren't we? I mean, that's important and things like, and I know it's sort of recently started, but things like golf and tennis and you know, group activities and things like that. I mean, how important is that to sort of reconnect with the healthy side of you? I mean, that's probably been one of the big challenges, hasn't it, through this whole pandemic?
Yeah, I think for tomorrow, I'm taking the boys out, executive team out for golf, ultimately to reaffirm how bad my golf game is.
You always end up talking about you in sport while I was on the culture couch.
I can get off the tee, but I'm telling you right now, don't put me on a links course. Anything where the ball can go left or right, I can't get access to it. But you got to get around people. Ultimately, being stuck at home, I'd suggest in a negative way, like you talked about it earlier, Ruzi, you sort of, whatever your bad habits are, you do significantly worse. So I think for me, I've probably drank a bit too much through that period. It's obviously winter as well. I'm stuck at home, but I'm close to the beach here. The sun's out now, so the other things, the seasons are changing. So you get out amongst the beach and beach weather, but just connecting with the guys in an open environment where we can have an interaction and just shoot the breeze just builds that relationship piece that's very difficult to do. Like we do it in our workshops and we do it through our interactions, our check-ins, our communication, solving problems quickly, all those types of things. But just when you let your guard down, being able to go and hit a few balls around the golf course, it's definitely going to help with morale and relationship, and that those items, even during a work day, is really instrumental to driving performance and culture for sure.
I think the other thing that has become such a big part of Australians' lives is eating, hasn't it? Like it's such a social thing, eating, and we've all been, and again, we're talking mainly the New South Wales and obviously the Victorian clients as well. But I'm sure trying to give an indication to the rest of Australia what it's been like as well. But it is such a big thing, isn't it? Like getting and socialising over breakfast or having a lunch with some mates or work colleagues. So it's great that we can sort of get back to that social side of it, but it also has some strong business implications too, doesn't it? Where you can suddenly do a little bit of work over breakfast, do a bit of work over lunch, take some work colleagues out. So that's going to be a really important part, Carly, isn't it, too, to particularly before Christmas, while we're pretty tired through this thing, but particularly just getting some of the social aspects back of I guess, eating.
Yeah, and for the people who have been home alone and haven't been connecting, just being able to share that experience and share what they've been doing, and it's almost a bit cathartic, I think, for them to get it out and then be able to move on into next year and just start, being a bit more normal or whatever that looks like. But yeah, food is always a really important part of it, but also really interesting, Ruzi, that we did our check-in question around food earlier in the week, and everyone has a very different experience of what that looks like. So for some people, food is really joyful, but for other people, sometimes it's not. And maybe we need to look at a few different options around that reconnection as well.
That was Ruzi. Ruzi had some good food stories. Food's functional for you, Paul, you suggested.
Yeah, my mum doesn't watch the Culture Couch live because she hasn't got a computer, so I can tell this story. The egg custard was disgusting. So I shared a story that I think I was 18 months. That's how traumatic it was eating egg custard. So that really threw me out. But Carly, I want to pick up on a point, Murph, you touched on it before. One of the good things to come out of it when you look at this meeting is walking meetings. And we would encourage, I guess, Murph, on that, what you said before, keep those walking meetings going. Keep the meetings over movement, because I think that has been one of the few positives to come out of it, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the leader sets the tone on what's acceptable. So if the leader's doing walking meetings, if the leader's encouraging, out and about, listening to podcasts or sharing those kind of things, then it makes it a lot easier for the rest of the team, as it always does. So yeah, really good initiative to make sure we keep that up.
So maybe just to finish off as we wrap it up is what Murph, and I'll go around, what's the thing you're most looking forward to? Not necessarily maybe from a pure enjoyment point of view, but something that you've really missed that's probably been really important? You didn't realise how important it was.
For me, it'll be. I think I've got an in-person meeting scheduled in Melbourne next week.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
so actually being able to go back into people's offices and meet them like face to face, do that. But that's from a professional perspective. From a personal perspective, I'm looking forward to the races tomorrow. So one of the good things about the advent of all the technology is that we spent last Saturday with the family on Zoom all over the country, and just having a really good afternoon together, even though we weren't. So so there's been good and bad. So I think.
Hang on, just 1 second. You were the one who just told me a minute ago when you were showing me this article that there were betting advertisements on the right-hand side. You're saying, now tell me what you've been looking at recently was, and this actually wasn't me. And now you're affirming that you are the one who's been online gambling quite frequently.
Well, it's the social occasion, Warren. It's a social. So I'm looking forward, Ruzi, to answer your question, getting back into meeting people either in the office or socially. I think it'll be fantastic.
Was yourself?
It's interesting for me because I laughed about the personality profiles piece because I'm so task orientated, but I reckon the pandemic and being locked at home has actually really increased my yellow. So I want to actually get out and have a good time. I'm a very social being. Talia and our friendship network is all about, I've got a nice house here with a pool and stuff, and it's all about having people around and having a few drinks and turning the music on and all that. So I've got a few boys, the executive actually staying at the house tomorrow night. So it's going to be good. Just get around. Yeah.
And Carly, just for you to finish off.
I'm a bit hesitant. I feel like I've been burned a bit in the last 2 years, but I just am looking forward to not having to talk about what we can and can't do, and just being able to be a bit more impulsive and connect with people, probably in smaller groups. I think will be nice. And what about you, Ruzi?
Well, I'm experiencing it over here in America, so I know what you're about to encounter, and I know what we've missed. So it's certainly a watershed time because, we've certainly missed a lot and given up a lot. So there's no question about that. So look, hopefully today is more, as we said, just a bit of an informal culture couch, what it's going to look like. So really, probably the tips mainly are, quickly get back into a routine, reconnect with people. Exercise is certainly really important. But just get back to the things you really love. And I think, Murph, I like your tip about there probably is some things that you are going to carry over that perhaps we didn't think we would from the pandemic. So don't just push it all back. Make sure you take those little things into what the next stage looks like. So thanks very much, everyone on the Culture Couch. Murph's got to get back to his betting. So
who's your tip tomorrow in the Cox Plate?
I haven't looked at the field actually. I much prefer the shorter and the longer races. But is it Harkey? HAKI is the vote. I think should show it in. Yeah.
Okay.
Go for number 6, Murph. That's my tip.
And Ruzi, just before you go, you're staying at your in-laws' house, I'm assuming.
I certainly am, Murph. I am.
And
yes.
How's your relationship with them? Is it good?
No, very, very good. I'm a nice guy, Murph. You know that. Everyone on the Culture Couch Live knows. I'm a perfect guest. If I come over to your place tomorrow night, I'd be a perfect guest.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Love your own thing.
No, good. That's good.
All right, we got to go. We'll see you next time on the Culture Couch Live. Thanks very much, everyone.
See you, mate.
Bye.